Hey guys, Mason here, or Subject32, as maybe a couple of you know me, and today I'm going to be running through mine and Mha Iri's track Solace. It's coming out on the 19th of August through Factory 93, so I just want to say a quick massive shout out as well to the Insomniac crew for getting us on. So yeah, let's rip right in. The first thing I want to show you guys is this atmosphere, which I recorded on this little bad boy, which is a little field recording microphone, and they are just the best. They're so handy. I use it all the time for everything. Really, really good tool. So this is the sound that I recorded and used in this track. Just rain, crickets, bit of wind. Yeah, just adds a whole bunch of depth and presence and gives it such a cool theme. Makes you feel like you're somewhere specific listening to it. So that's something I've always loved and tried to incorporate in my tracks, is those kinds of things. So yes, there's that. And then I started with that, and then I like to build things up from nothing. So I kind of wrote a bass note. I'll get the feeling of the progression of the way that I want it to descend or ascend in terms of emotion that I want to go with, and then I work everything around that. So that's just the way that I do things. It works for me. And yeah, in this instance, it just came together really easily. So here's a little preview of how it sounds like coming from nothing now. So yeah, a lot of layering. Always try and layer some things up. You can get some really cool textures and depth with just a few layers. And then I literally added leads straight after that. I started writing a melody. So I always start with like 4 or 5 little basic notes to kind of get the feeling and the way that I want it. So I started with this. Started with that first, and then moved more towards this whole progressive melody that comes in around all the leads and everything. Same again, super duper important to layer. Everything has its own little place and tone in the mix. So just a weird little kind of ambient high layer. The main lead layer. So yeah, that's pretty much the sound that makes up the main lead, is all these 4 layers here. And then I've normally used sometimes 2 or 3 different bass layers for the sub pads that kind of sit underneath everything. So there's one that I did in Serum, which is a bit wider. And then just a real dark, dirty sub layer too. And then a few little ambient kind of noises just running through. That's another big one too. That runs through the whole track. Yeah, it does. That automates up and down all the way through the song. So there's a lot going on with that as well. Adds a lot of extra depth, as you'd say. So yeah. That's kind of panning around, doing some cool stuff. Sounds like strings. So yeah, you can do some really cool things and come up with some really crazy tones just by layering a few different layers and getting some really out there results. But yeah, so I was really happy with that. I wrote this bass structure first. This was actually going to be a song on an album, and I'd kind of just come back and forth between it and just opened it here and there and tried to put something down to see if I had anything for it, and majority of the times I didn't. And then one day I just forced myself to write a melody around the pads and everything that were there. And yeah, I just thought to myself too, I'm like, damn it, like I really like this melody and I like this lead that I've done. So I want to get vocals around it. And I just thought, you know what, I know exactly who's going to suit this. And I sent the idea to Mha and I said, look, what do you think about writing vocals around this? And she was really keen, really happy to do it. So I had a first drop kind of set out, done, and then it came into this breakdown, and then it built up into a very rough edit of the last drop. And I sent her that and she goes, yeah, okay, fair enough. Like, I see where you're trying to go with this. I understand. I just said, look, I just want something in the breakdown that kind of builds up into the drop, blah, 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 blah. So that got done. She did a rough sketch of the vocals, sent it back to me. I worked the vocals in around the song. I only had like 2 or 3 different phrases at that time. So we obviously went through and recorded more. But yeah, so we started off with that. And then I wrote the last drop idea and wrote a bit of a more energized build up than was what was already there for the last drop. And then I sent that back to her and yeah, she loved it straight away. And she goes, yep, fuck it. Let's smash it. Let's get it done. And yeah, I'm going to jump on this as well. So I ended up getting the first drop roughly sketched out, getting the breakdown sketched out, and then getting the last drop fully sketched out as well. And then I sent her all stems just so it was easier, bounced out the project, flicked it over to her. And I said, look, the breakdown melodies and everything that we've got is awesome. Like, I don't want to change that too much, but if you've got another cool melody that you can add around what's already there and add a bit more depth to it again, then feel free. And she did. And she came up with this one here, which I'm about to solo next, and it just suits it so well. So it just really started to gel and glue together and have its own story and personality after all this stuff. I'll play this for you now. And then here it really accentuates. It has a lot of drive and cutoff coming up to really push it up through over the mix, and then it sucks back down and then goes bang into the drop. So I'll just play this little section for you now with everything. So yeah, really happy with that. Absolutely loved it. It just really tells the intro to the story of like kind of flowing through the first drop into the breakdown. And then it doesn't really come through the breakdown. It changes into the leads that are there, but it comes back through in the outro. So it really just tells another part of the story of the song. And yeah, there's that. I've done the, excuse me guys, so I'm just going to my notes. Okay, I've shown you guys the breakdown elements, show you guys Mha's lead. Now I'm going to show you the last drop lead. So the way that this one came about is I started with just a lead first, which was the main layer, but I had no automation on there, the ones that I'm going to go through. So I'm just going to turn these off for now. I started with a bit of a pattern first. So as you can hear, it doesn't sound as cool. So what I did was I added an arpeggiator, and as you can see, I've automated it on and off in certain sections. So what it's doing is it's got LFO tool that's controlling this rate, and it's kind of twisting it and manipulating it into this little arpeggiated sequence section at the end. So I really wanted it to sound like someone had manipulated it on a synth and then it's running through a sequencer at a certain bit. So it does still sound like someone's doing it live, if that makes sense. So yeah, I just kept it simple and just tried to articulate it in a way that was less common. It's probably the best way to put it, was less common. So yeah. As you can hear what it's doing. So that's only one layer, by the way, of the lead playing. I'll show you guys very quickly what this lead is made up of. So And this one. And then all of it together was really nice, but it lacked a lot of top ends. So what I actually did was I literally just added a serum and had the noise oscillator on. As you can hear, it's just following the same thing. And then all together, it just sounds like this. So yeah, after this, I added a layer of all these leads together, and I basically just made one big long note, and I just wound it up as this big kind of winding, and then like releasing build-up thing into the drop. So and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I really hope that you guys learned something from all of that and took something away. And thank you, Insomniac guys, for getting us on, and see you guys soon.